So we're on page 141, and the title is Exponents. Just to quickly review, n to the 8th power. Okay, a couple of body parts here I want to analyze for you. The n is base. The 8 is called the exponent. And the value created as a result of this is called the power. Okay? So those 3 words are going to be used to help you, or as I teach this lesson. Okay? If I were to take, well, I'm not going to write this one out. Let's say 6 cubed and write it 6 times 6 times 6. By definition, they call they call this the exponential form of this multiplication. Okay? So if I say exponential form, looks like I'm spelling it wrong. E-X-P-O-N-E-N. Yeah. There we go. This is the exponential form of that. Okay? So when you are given this scenario and they say write it in exponential form, you're going to write 6 cubed. Example 1, they give you several samples. They give you that in exponential form is 6 to the 4th. B, another simple one, sorry, that's how many A's? Is it 6? Lord willing. A to the 6th. And C. C, don't let C confuse you. For C, they threw a number in there. They threw a couple of letters in there, another number, and then they mixed it up again. The way you're going to want to do these is you're going to want to break it down first by associating and commuting. You guys remember the associative and commutative properties that allow you to move stuff around? Your numbers together, which gives you a -6. Okay? Then, because I like things in alphabetical order, I'm going to look for my P's, and that is P cubed. And lastly, looks like I have 2 Q's, Q squared. Okay? That's the story there. Now, example 2, you might not realize that this goes right along with this, but when you are solving area of a rectangle and you are given 2 sides, in order to solve area of this rectangle, you are going to multiply 3x times x, or 3 times x times x. Okay? What's the coefficient of this x, by the way? 1. Okay? So 3 times 1, of course, is 3. X times x is x squared. If there is no exponent, the exponent is 1. Okay, so the area of this shape is 3x squared. I don't have units, I don't have like inches or anything, so this is a completely acceptable answer. Moving on. Example 3. If you are given x cubed and they tell you to evaluate it, that's like saying -5 times -5 times -5. Okay? I have an odd number of negatives, which means my result is going to be a negative answer. Okay? If it was just this, 5 times 5, or -5 times -5, it would be a positive answer. So, 5 times 5 times 5, -125. because there is a odd number of the exponent. Okay? So there's a rule that goes along with that. If it's negatives, if that is a odd number, the result will stay negative. Okay? Again, I'm talking about negative values. If this is an even number, the result will be even. Okay? All right. There's a summary there for you to look over. I'd like you to look over that at your earliest convenience because there are some tricky rules here in the last few examples that we're going to go over. Example 4. Negative 3 to the 4th. Okay. You might say to yourself, well, that's like negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Well, I would agree with you, only when you're looking at it from this perspective, it's saying the opposite of 3 to the 4th. Okay? That's what that literally means. So you have to think about it as the opposite of 3 to the 4th. To solve it, the opposite of is going to give you your answer. So you'll get an 81 and you keep the negative. Okay? Had I, in example B, kept the negative 3 in a parentheses in front of that exponent of a 4, this means negative 3 4 times, which was why up here I plugged in this value as x and cubed it. Okay, that's why it's different. Okay, so negative 3 4 times is going to be negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, and we'll get a positive 81. Okay? That is the easiest mistake to make. Sorry, 1 plus 5, that shouldn't be a negative 1 there, squared. So if you have something going on in this parentheses, like the order of operations says, you've got to do that first, which becomes 6 squared, which becomes 36. Okay? If there's something in parentheses, you got to do it first. In contrast, letter D says 1 plus 5 squared. Okay, so we don't have a symbol of inclusion here, or a grouping symbol, but we do, however, have exponents. And according to my Aunt Sally, we have to excuse her before we add. So this becomes 1 plus 25. This is order of operations basics, guys. And your answer then is 26. Okay, order of operations. It's back there behind Ting. If you ever want to stare at it, take a picture of it, whatever you want to do, okay? Because that's an easy thing to forget as well. That's example 4. What if example 5 says you have a scenario to evaluate and they give you a couple of things? This is not difficult. Do not stress about this. A plus B, and we are squaring it, and they say A is 3 and B is negative 2. So the A is going to get plugged in here, and the B value is going to get plugged in here. And I'm putting parentheses around it just to really highlight what I'm doing. All right? Changed it to braces so that it's not the same as the parentheses. And we're squaring it. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 added to a negative 2 is what's going to be squared, otherwise known as 4 squared, parentheses or not, your result is 16. Okay? Slowly go through these steps, and what helps me to grade your work is if I'm able to actually see. That way I don't just mark your answer wrong. Okay, if you guys show your steps on the paper I'm grading, then it helps me to be able to say, well, this is where you made your mistake. Otherwise, I'm just telling you your answer's wrong, and I'm not helping you any. all right? Now, a lot of you do all of your answers on like an answer sheet, and I understand why you do that. But as algebra gets where we are now, you can't do that anymore, okay? Because now it's really all about steps, all right? This chapter is all about steps. All right, continuing with example 6, and then I'll cut you loose. Example 6, we're at the bottom of the page. This is the same exact thing as example 5, only it's got a little more junk thrown in it. X minus y cubed, in parentheses, over 2x plus y. Okay, they tell us x is 2 and y is 5. Okay, so I'm going to just start by rewriting this and plugging in the numbers. So 2 minus 5 cubed divided by 2 times 2 plus 5. Okay, does everybody see how I got from the start to this location here? X is there, y is there, x, y. All right, so now I have negative 3 being cubed. If a negative number has an odd exponent, will the product stay negative? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, right? 27. Over 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 plus 5 is what, 9? Okay, say again. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. You good? Okay, good. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 5 is 9. Okay, here we go. 27 negative divided by 9. The result is a negative 3. The biggest mistake I've seen from this class particularly is with negative and positive numbers. You all get the right numbers, but you'll have an incorrect sign. Okay? Be careful. Be very, very careful. Now, look at the oral. Look at the oral. Is there anything, I know the first ones, 1 through 12, I'm pretty sure you guys probably aren't scared of that. 13 through 20, is there anything there that you'd like me to go over? We have a short period, so I don't want to take your time. An even power of a negative, this is number 21. An even power of a negative will result in what kind of a product? Positive, indeed. And in contrast, an odd power, like in this scenario, will result in a negative. Bravo, Connor. All right. Holy guacamole. Oh, justice, that's my Rebecca. Okay. Study the figures at the right. Explain why the second and third powers are called b squared and b cubed. Isn't that kind of cool how the visual of something being in the shape of a square explains the shape, whereas a three-dimensional, so it's two-dimensional, whereas the cubed guy, cubed, is 3D. Everybody likes to see 3D movies, right? All right. I have you guys doing 2 through 40 today.